Can sovereignty be ignored by merely turning a blind eye to history? Can legality be twisted by a forceful takeover? Nagaland stands at this very crossroads, demanding justice and self-determination. Nagaland's quest for independence is not just a political aspiration. It is a legal entitlement solidly backed by history and international law. The story began in 1929 when Naga leaders petitioned the Simon Commission explicitly stating, "Leave us alone to determine ourselves as in ancient times." This was not mere rhetoric but an earnest call respected by the British. In 1947, on the evening of India's independence, Nagaland declared itself independent, altering both the British government and the UN. Crucially, this wasn't just a unilateral step. Even Mahatma Gandhi acknowledged that the Nagas had every right to be independent. Yet, India's betrayal came swiftly. In June 1947, the 9-point agreement explicitly recognized Naga autonomy and set a 10-year window after which Nagas could freely decide their future. What happened instead was that India imposed military rule and denied Nagas their promised plebiscite. By 1954, Indian forces had aggressively annexed Nagaland, turning an autonomy agreement into military subjugation. From the Naga perspective, this was an invasion of a sovereign people who had declared independence, a case of aggression, not succession. International law clearly backs Nagaland's right to independence. The UN Charter explicitly states the right to self-determination as fundamental. The 1966 International Covenants on Civil and Political Rights and on Economics, Social and Cultural Rights, both of which India has ratified, each begin with an identical Article 1 affirming all peoples have the right of self-determination, a right India officially ratified but blatantly disregards regarding Nagaland. Furthermore, customary international law and UN declarations bolster Nagaland's claim. The 1970 UN Declaration on Friendly Relations reaffirmed the right of the peoples to self-determination and obliges every state to respect that right. Another pertinent instrument is the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, UNDRIP 2007, which affirms that indigenous peoples, which would include the Nagas, have the right to self-determination, meaning they can freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. UN General Assembly Resolution 1514 and 1541 of 1960 further cement this position, unequivocally condemning alien subjugation and insisting that integration must reflect the people's freely expressed wishes. India's refusal to honor the Nagas plebiscite in 1951, where 99% voted for independence, directly violates these laws and resolutions. Historically, India's claim over Nagaland rests on a shaky legal foundation. The Nagas' consistent stance from the Simon Commission Memo 1929 and Hadri Agreement 1947 to the Independence Declaration 1947 and Plebiscite 1951 was that they did not consent to Indian rule. India's incorporation of Nagaland occurred without any legal instrument of union or a free and fair vote, and in contravention of explicit pledges to honor the Naga people's wishes. Even the International Court of Justice, ICJ, in the East Timor and Kosovo cases clarified that self-determination rights cannot be overridden by forced integration. The ICJ in the East Timor, Portugal versus Australia case underscored that East Timor's self-determination was a right erga omnes, which means owed to the entire world community. The Naga case mirrors these international examples, legally demanding recognition. Ironically, India's own constitution undermines this stance on Nagaland. No treaty or accession instrument exists integrating Nagaland into India, a fact even acknowledged by Indian negotiators during peace talks in Amsterdam in 2002. India's constitution mandates consent for incorporation, yet the Nagas' explicit rejection was ignored. Moreover, Article 371A, intended to safeguard Naga rights within India, has been continuously breached. India's draconian Armed Forces Special Powers Act, enforced without the Nagaland's assembly consent, illustrates the systematic erosion of even these limited protections, deepening the legal and moral argument for independence. India's forced annexation and oppression control over Nagaland echo chilling similarities to Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic's infamous, brutal, and authoritarian regime in Kosovo. Both regimes broke constitutional promises and legally binding agreements. India disregarded the 9-point agreement of 1947, and Milosevic abolished Kosovo's autonomy granted under Yugoslavia's 1974 constitution. Milosevic's attempts to suppress self-determination in regions like Kosovo were internationally condemned. Each regime relied heavily on military suppression, enacting draconian laws to justify widespread human rights abuses, including extrajudicial killings, forced disappearances, and torture. Culturally, India and Milosevic both pursued policies of forced assimilation and ethnic suppression, undermining indigenous identities. International legal frameworks, including UN Resolution 1514